Greetings friends and welcome back to Grand Adventure. I'm your host Mark Guido and we're spending this week in Washington's beautiful Methow Valley. Come along. Washington's pastoral Methow Valley has long been on our list of destinations to visit, but due to various circumstances, it's never happened until now. Situated in the eastern foothills of the northern Cascade Mountains, the adjacent towns of Winthrop, Mazama, and Twisp form the eastern gateway to North Cascades National Park, yet constitute a legitimate RV travel destination in their own right. This was our first stop back in the States after 15 full weeks wandering around Western Canada. Of course, that meant negotiating a border crossing, which we completed at the tiny port of entry at Nighthawk, Washington. The Nighthawk port of entry is unique in our experience as it involves driving into a garage with a 13-foot 6-inch clearance.
7 inches straight path until you hit home.
Thank you, sir. Of course, that 13.5 feet applies only when the CBP guard fully opens the overhead door. We're only 12 foot 1, but that didn't matter.
It smells bad. I told you that.
Whoa!
What did you hit?
The hell was that? Somehow, we sustained zero damage when our front air conditioner hit the door. Unfortunately, we can't say the same for the garage door. The town of Winthrop is home to about 500 people, centrally located right in the heart of the Methow Valley. The town was founded in 1890 after the valley was first opened to white settlement, named for author and explorer Theodore Winthrop, who visited Washington Territory in the 1860s. In the 1890s, Guy Waring of Boston acquired almost all of the buildings in the town and opened various businesses, including a sawmill, grist mill, a hotel, and the original Duck Brand Saloon, complete with unusually strict rules that required drunk patrons to leave and prohibited bartenders from talking to patrons. The saloon was among the only structures to survive a major fire in 1893 that destroyed the town. It was later converted into the town hall. Winthrop became the main hub of the upper Methow Valley with an industry centered around cattle ranching, logging, and supplying nearby gold mines. In the 1910s, Winthrop gained telephone service, a newspaper named the Winthrop Eagle, a school, and a bank, and the town was incorporated in 1924. Taking a cue from the Bavarian-themed town of Leavenworth, Washington, which in turn got the idea from Solvang, California, which we'll visit later this fall, Winthrop adopted an Old West theme for its downtown architecture in 1971. To prepare for the opening of the North Cascades Highway across the mountains from the Washington coast. A 2-block section of downtown was rebuilt to use 1890s Old West architecture, including false fronts and a wooden boardwalk. And as a result, today the town prospers as a regional tourist attraction and base for outdoor recreation. The Okanagan-Wenatchee National Forest, which surrounds the valley, has designated areas for hiking, camping, hunting, and fishing. The unemployment rate here is a startlingly low 1%. We'll share the positively wonderful campground where we're staying in Winthrop, an extensive museum of antique equipment, and a lot more from Winthrop and across the Methow Valley, right after we take a quick ad break. So stay tuned. We're hooked up at a site at Pioneer RV Park and Campground, a positively charming RV park right in town in Winthrop. Our 50 amp full hookup site here cost approximately $49 per night, including all taxes and fees. Right adjacent to our campsite, on lush, soft grass, is the most impressive community camp kitchen that we've ever encountered. The campground is an easy block-and-a-half walk or bike ride from the center of town in Winthrop. Located right next door to our campground, the Shafer Historical Museum houses original historic buildings and artifacts of the Methow Valley. While the buildings are open in the summer months and on weekends only during our early autumn visit, the museum grounds and outdoor exhibits are available for self-guided tours through an amazing collection of old equipment used for farming, ranching, logging, and mining. While building his business empire here, Guy Waring built a spacious new home in 1897, named the Castle by local residents, on this hillside overlooking Winthrop. It now serves as the home of the Shafer Museum. Peregrine Lake State Park, just outside Winthrop, includes over 1,200 acres of recreational areas for camping, swimming, boating, and fishing. The upper Methow Valley has 120 miles of groomed cross-country skiing trails, the largest system of such trails in the United States. In summer, many of these trails are available for hiking and mountain biking. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service opened the Winthrop National Fish Hatchery on the Methow River in 1942, which produces salmon and trout to be stocked at local lakes and released into the river. We'll get out and explore more of the Methow Valley, including the communities of Mazama and Twisp, right after another quick ad break, so stay tuned. Mazama lies 14 miles west of Winthrop along the North Cascades Highway. Founded around the beginning of the 20th century, Mazama boomed as the departure point for mining towns in the rugged Harts Pass area, such as Barron, Chancellor, and Robinson. The settlement has a general store with outdoor cafe and gas pumps, an adventure supply store, and not much else. The area is a destination for outdoor recreation, including rock climbing, mountaineering, snowmobiling, and backcountry and helicopter skiing. Home to roughly 1,000 residents, Twisp is the largest of the three communities in the upper Methow Valley, situated 9 miles south of Winthrop. It's much busier at the Mazama store on a Saturday. With fuel for the day ahead in hand, we're heading out about an hour's drive up the North Cascades Scenic Highway to North Cascades National Park. The first plans to build an automobile route across the North Cascades from Bellingham Bay to the Columbia River were approved by the state legislature in 1893. But construction of the final 30 miles across the mountains did not begin until 1961. It was open to traffic in 1972. The road is only open seasonally, from early May until late November. The highway's path across the Cascades follows one of the oldest state roads in Washington, established in 1896 as a wagon route. Now designated as Washington State Road 20, The highway has been called the most beautiful mountain highway in the state of Washington and deserves that reputation. Although the Cascades are widely known as a volcanic range, including such notable volcanoes as Lassen Peak, Mount Shasta, Mount Hood, Mount St. Helens, and Mount Rainier, as the range stretches from Northern California into British Columbia, the North Cascades are predominantly non-volcanic in nature. Overall, the North Cascades are one of the most rugged mountain ranges in the contiguous United States. Even the lesser peaks are steep and glaciated, and valleys are quite low relative to peaks and ridges, so there is great local relief. Alpine glaciers are a defining feature of the North Cascades, which contains 756 glaciers covering 103 square miles of terrain, the most expansive glacial system in the contiguous United States. North Cascades National Park was dedicated in 1968. The park is almost entirely protected as wilderness, so has few structures, roads, or other improvements. Most access to the park is from State Route 20, following the Skagit River. Aside from the drive-in campgrounds alongside Route 20, all other camping inside the park requires hiking in by trail, horseback, or boat. The tiny town of New Halem was established as a construction camp in 1920 to support the building and the workers of the Skagit Hydro Project, which produces power for Seattle City Light. Contractors built a 25-mile rail line to Gorge Creek, facilitating the construction of 3 major dams on the Skagit River. Ross Lake, formed by the impoundment of the Skagit River by the Ross Dam, lies alongside Route 20 near the center of the park, 23 miles long and up to 1.5 miles wide. Diablo Lake sits just downstream of Ross Lake, created by the Diablo Dam. The turquoise hue of the lake's water is attributed to surrounding glaciers, grinding rocks into glacial flour that stays suspended in the lake water. Finally, Gorge Lake was formed by the Gorge Dam. which was the first one in the series to start producing power in 1924. It's remarkable how the dry landscape of the Methow Valley has changed so dramatically in such a short distance, now that we're no longer in the rain shadow of these lofty mountains. This heart of the national park is only about an hour's drive west of Winthrop, but it's nevertheless upstream of most of the smoky haze dropping down from the Canadian wildfires burning across British Columbia. That's prompted a change of itinerary for us. Instead of continuing south-southeast through central Washington and eastern Oregon as we had planned to do, we're now going to get west of the Cascades and stay there as we head south, in hopes of leaving behind the haze that we've been enduring at various degrees over the past several weeks. I can't think of a better place than here, alongside the Skagit River, to enjoy that sandwich. We hope that you've enjoyed exploring the Methow Valley with us. Now, coming up next week, we're going to head off to Puget Sound, hopefully to do a little bit of sailing with some friends. So if you're not yet a grand adventurer, there is no better time than right now for you to go smash that little subscribe button right down there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. And ring that notification bell to be sure that you never miss a grand adventure, which we premiere right here every Wednesday evening. We'd be honored if you shared the channel with your friends, family, and social media. Understand it's extremely important to us that if you like this episode from the Methow Valley, please be sure to give us a huge thumbs up down below. And while you're down below, that's where you'll find the comment section where we love to hear from you each and every week. So until next week from Puget Sound, please remember, life is nothing but a grand adventure. We'll see you then.